What is the point, though, Craig?
Oh, that's too deep for a month. It's not Monday, it's Thursday.
Yeah,
And you've just
that's right.
timestamped this video. You've ruined it for everyone at home who thinks we record this on a Monday night.
My immersion.
Your
No,
immersion
it's
is
gone.
ruined. As we welcome you all back to Twisted Fates, where we kind of left the boys a little bit off on a cliffhanger last time. Not like a dramatic cliffhanger or anything, just the party split cliffhanger because Matthew was tired.
Don't bully him. He's allowed to be tired.
I make no apologies for having a good normal sleep schedule.
Yeah, which we destroyed by recording a Halloween special and then recording the campaign special on the same weekend.
Campaign special?
And
Yeah,
now the
not
immersion is
campaign.
definitely ruined.
Yeah, completely destroyed. As recapping from last time, the boys had arrived in Thansari, though not before a rather interesting encounter on the road, as they bullied Ranagash for his encounters with a orcish woman, trying to pick at who she was.
Wow, what an
she was
interesting
doing.
way to phrase that.
Art imitates life, where we
Um,
just bully Matthew.
I love when a story comes together.
And then the topic of conversation turned to Marcusar's father, where I guess Marcusar asked the hard question of what would likely happen to his dad, where he got the answer he didn't really want, where his dad likely is probably going to die again at some point. Though, as they were trying to relax a little bit on that last leg of the journey, Marcusar suggesting that they harken back to the good old days of playing a game of I Spy. You would think they would have learned that never really goes too well, as they heard screams from the woods, where they chased and found a young elven woman being chased and constricted by what they later found out to be a naga. A very large snake with some magical abilities, though thankfully as the party combated it, none of those magical abilities actually popped off as they all passed their saving throws. Boo-hoo for me. They were able to defeat the snake, however, and return to the town with the young woman, where before kind of booking in to the inn there, they went to visit the magic shop, her magic shop that belonged to both her and her father, where Eidolon got to talk to someone from his past. The first of many going into this segment of the session and campaign. But he got to talk to Rias, an old elf that in his younger days he would often make deliveries to and from that in his father-in-law's shop in Aramba. The party then, having perused the wares, unable to buy anything, went to the Entish retreat, though not before Eidolon made a request of Marcusar, buying him some fire salts as a little bit of a bribe, for him to go and see Rias the next morning to possibly have a little bit of a look at his illness, as the man was dying and, well, Eidolon wanted to see if he could make the passing a bit smoother.
Hey kid, heal this old man and I'll pay you in napalm.
Essentially, that's what he did. As Marcusar now has a jar of fire salts and could set many things on fire. Or make someone eat them and set them on fire.
War crimes in a bottle.
Essentially.
Oh no.
But at the Entish retreat, things obviously didn't go as smoothly as the party would expect, though when does anything go smoothly for my boys? As two watchmen were there. One of them being a guy called Vale, who had a broken arm, and the other being someone Eidolon was looking for, a young man named Oscar, where they managed to have a conversation, Eidolon learning why Oscar was indebted to Gairdra, and Vale cursing but also thanking Wulfric, as Wulfric was able to repair his arm. The two boys then got an earful from both Wulfric and Eidolon about the events that have been happening and the duration of this campaign. Wulfric obviously very upset, very angry with the failings of the Bulwark and of the Watchmen to prevent the Blight, and obviously that in turn leading to the death of all of his friends. But during this conversation they also learned of, well, why Oscar and Vale were here in the first place. A young woman from Summerhost who apparently had some connections to Eidolon, who the Watchmen wanted to speak to see if they knew possibly where he was or what he'd been up to or how much she knew. They weren't so lucky in apprehending her, however, as she managed to throw Vale off the top balcony of the Entish retreat, hence the broken arm. But that is where we kind of left off after their conversations and after my party split, where Marcusar under the pretense of going to possibly find some more of Eidolon's friends, but more so I think because Paul just wants to get drunk in D&D, is going to the last drink, the tavern in town.
No.
I think Paul's way of putting it is he just wants to explore the map.
Yeah. Paul wants to explore all my
And put a lot of
locations.
effort into this map.
That has 3 locations on it, as I pop it up on screen most likely. Like, fair enough. You could have gone to every location in the Citadel, or how about Westcross, or, Kinreen, but no. Thansari's where he starts. Summerhost, yeah, you didn't go to all the places there. Yes.
It was a couple of sessions ago that Marcusar had a revelation that he might change his ways, so he's going for a drink.
He's gonna change all of his ways.
As Marcusar is going to the tavern to make sure he doesn't go on his own. Ranagash is also accompanying. Don't know how you got roped into that, Matthew, but hey-ho. Leaving Wulfric,
The responsible one.
leaving Wulfric and Eidolon in the entrance retreat, going to speak to the young woman.
I'm heading upstairs at the very least.
As leaving my boys to go and drink at the tavern and see what happens in there, despite Eidolon's warnings. We're actually going to start with Eidolon and Wulfric. Still in the entrance retreat, and still downstairs. Obviously with the pretense to go up and talk to the young woman. But what are the two of you doing? Are you both going up? Is only one of you going up? Is just Wulfric going up?
I'm certainly heading up. I said I was heading up.
That's true. It's more, where's Wulfric? What's Wulfric doing? Is he following? Or is he staying downstairs?
I'm following.
Nice. So you both head up a couple of flights of stairs, where you get up to the top balcony that almost spirals down inside the centre tree trunk, where you can even see that there's several other balconies up top, but not really used for seating, more used for actual rooms. The spiral staircase climbing up to a collection of different locations that probably funnel inside the branches and tree trunks as well. As you go up, get onto the platform. Up here is pretty empty. There's not a lot of patrons here, though at this time of year, kind of coming into midwinter, there's not really a lot of travellers to Thansari anyway, so it's not unfamiliar, at least for Eidolon, to see this place lacking in its patronage. However, there are 2 people up here, though you are, I guess, stopped before you can actually get a good look at them. As quite a tall gentleman, very broad-shouldered, and kind of dark hair that is thinner on the sides, but a very full fringe that's been pushed back. Not too dissimilar from how Wulfric's is looking at this point in time, just obviously darker colours, and not quite as salt and pepper, very almost jet black, which has very jet black eyes almost to match, though his garb is definitely not that of a soldier or a traveller, it is of a farmer. As kind of drawing a blank to Wulfric, his eye is more fixed on Eidolon, or should I say more Eidolon's garb.
Oh, fantastic.
He kind of puts himself between you and a collection of tables. I don't care what you want. I don't care where you're going. I don't care what you have to say. You and those gimp guys down there can fuck off and leave my daughter alone.
Eidolon lets out a small chuckle at the description of gimp guys.
I didn't mean to say that. I am stuttering.
Then in fact, what it is I have to say is that they are leaving.
Then you can leave too.
Maybe this is a bit simpler. Do you know what they were after?
As he kind of stands staring at you quite blankly, almost another voice cuts you off just before you get to the end of your sentence. It's okay, Dad. I know this one. And I need him because I need him to answer a lot of my questions.
I'd more just make a gesture behind the man.
He kind of steps to the side, ignores you for a second, looks at a young girl who is sat upon one of the benches, a foot kind of almost kicked up on another chair, where she sits down and leans over a tankard as he looks at her. Amalia, are you sure? Can't have them bothering you again. Yes, Dad, I can deal with this one, and if not, I'm pretty sure he can kick himself out.
Harsh.
As she kind of almost kicks one of the chairs so that it juts out from under the table and gestures, well, for yourself, and seeing Wulfric is with you as well, for the 2 of you to take a seat.
Take a seat.
Yeah, I'll saunter over.
Her dad doesn't sit down, he kind of almost lingers in the background at a fair distance, obviously to keep conversation private, but not giving you the best of looks sidelong.
Sitting down, casting an eye over, almost rolling his eyes as he turns his head to sit down in the chair and look forward instead.
So you have a lot to answer for.
I'm well aware, it's why I'm here. I already had a keen idea who was upstairs, so after sending those two away, I was perfectly happy to leave, though I'd assumed you'd want to talk.
I mean, I've not been able to leave for the past 3 days.
If I had have known that, well, at the very least they were bothering you, or in fact that you were here, maybe I could have said I would have arrived earlier, but that would also be a lie. So, all I can say is I'm sorry.
Okay, well, tell me why I wasn't allowed to leave, because they wouldn't. All they said it had something to do with you.
Yes, it's because you stopped me to have a conversation in Summerhost. If we need more of an elaboration, I'm sorry, but that's it.
You're kidding.
I'm sorry, does my face look like I'm kidding? This annoys me to no end, that they think that they can just seek down the people I've made any contact with and irritate them. I'm not kidding, I am annoyed.
Oh,
Thank you, Wulfric.
One, it's an expression.
sorry, I just remembered who this was.
Thank you. This is the second time I've annoyed her.
At least the first time you could pay for my pots.
And you see, akin to the instance in the pots, I told you that it would be an awful idea.
Yes, but going for coffee and having a conversation with someone doesn't usually end up in house arrest.
Hence why, prior to said event, I warned you it wasn't a good idea.
This is the light end of getting involved in this shit.
Yes, I kind of got that.
My best friend got turned into a zombie.
I'm sorry?
Thank you.
I don't actually think we've officially met either. I'm Emmy, or Amalia Gracie if you want to be more formal.
I'm Wulfric. I tried to violently murder Marksar on several occasions.
And you succeeded?
At
Twice.
least once.
He did so twice.
I don't have a fondness for that Dragonborn.
A, not a dragonborn, and B, not many people do.
Yeah, he's an elf now.
An elf who's sitting downstairs.
It's
At
a
least
long
was.
story.
It always seems to be a long story. I've had 2 conversations with Eidolon, and they both seem to be very long stories.
Eidolon is a man of long stories.
And a lot of emotions.
You can keep that second one to yourself.
Yeah, and the whole tavern at home, who heard you screaming.
And I'm reserved to not do it here.
I'm sorry, that's kind of funny.
Yes, it is, Wulfric. Do you have anything else to ask? I'm happy to answer.
Can I go home now?
Yes, they're going. They have no authority to keep you here as I told them they don't.
So what are you doing here then?
Going to where they want me to go. They stopped you because they needed my location. Because they wanted to take me back to the wall. It's just coincidental that I'm heading there anyway.
So why are you heading there?
Because Gairdre's on the other side.
Still on your revenge quest?
I'm not gonna lie and say it's not a revenge quest, but it's not for me, well, exclusively anymore.
Yes.
I'll still stand by what I said last time.
Which is...
Revenge isn't going to solve anything. It's just going to leave you stuck in a rut with nothing to move on.
Why I'm not doing it for revenge anymore. I'm doing it because he can't hurt any more people.
And I was never doing it for revenge in the first place. This is closure and spite, mostly.
Fight, mainly.
Also, I quite fancy being able to go home. And he's kind of stopping that because he's really persistent and very annoying.
I can't echo the home sentiment as I don't exactly have a place I want to go, but he's done doing what he's doing.
And what comes after?
Hell if I know. I haven't planned that far.
As long as he doesn't get murdered by his boss or former boss, he's got a decent amount of life left.
Murdered?
When I go back to the wall, they want my head, so it's
And
kind
they're
of
not getting it.
It's kind of talking my way out of them not taking my head off.
Yeah, and they're not getting it.
Wow, you come from such a lovely place, and I thought I came from a horrible place where the worst thing that happened was a psychotic dragonborn occasionally burned down our farm.
So maybe I shouldn't move on to the fact that the actual thing that I refuse to tell you to why we have guardships of is the fact that there's a zombie plague on the other side.
So he wasn't kidding when his friend was brought back as a zombie.
No.
And I also wasn't kidding when I said I died. That wasn't a metaphor. That was very literal.
Yeah.
Also, his best friend, or former best friend, is a psychotic, neurotic Wolfman, who's currently being possessed by a possible spiritual manifestation of corruption itself, who is currently looking for a new host.
That's a lot.
Also, he's annoying.
You left that part out when you described him in Summerhost.
He's also 5'7".
I made sure to cover the psychopathy, betrayal, backstabbing. Listen, the only reason I'm doing this is because you asked for the truth back then and I couldn't give it to you.
What's changed now?
Eidolon just gestures at himself.
Yes, the scarf suits you quite well, but that doesn't help.
That's not the... Thanks, by the way. You didn't need to.
I know I didn't need to, but I knew you'd be going that way anyway, and you seemed, I guess, quite avoidant to a lot of your looks. So I thought I'd help you hide a bit better.
I would almost take offense if it wasn't a compassionate gesture. There's no reason to hide things anymore, though. It's happening. The world knows it's happening. The world's at risk because it's happening. And what I thought was right was actually just harming the rest of us.
So what, you're more of an open book now?
I mean, if you ask me something, I'm not just going to tell people it, but I don't know. I'll say things now. I'll speak.
Like normally in a conversation and not, screaming at the top of your voice in a tavern?
Have I started screaming yet? Because if not, you can't pull me up on that.
No, but I've also not asked how things have been going.
Would you prefer us to leave before you do that?
No. Though I don't think we'll be staying here for much longer.
I wouldn't recommend it before they try to ordain that you're still to come to the wall.
Well, considering I now know substantially more than I knew beforehand, yeah, I don't want to stay for that.
So, what is it that you do want to ask? You're free to have us leave at any time. I'm not keeping you here. Well, literally, no, I'm not keeping you here. They were trying to.
So, if you're off to the wall, and possibly going to die, when can we have that coffee you promised?
Which answer would you like first? An optimistic or a cynical?
I was more hoping for a date, but...
Alright, if you want the optimistic, the second I get, over the wall, deal with everything that's over there, get back over the wall, somehow, then fine, I'll have plenty of time. The cynical part is if I survive any of that. I've got an entire civilization that wants me dead, then I have to go through the entire landscape which wants anybody dead, find the person who specifically wants me dead, and get back through it all alive.
As she kind of turns to Wulfric. So how likely is he going to be alive at the end of all this?
With my intervention, a lot higher than he thinks it is.
Okay, so we're still in winter. I will give you enough time. So be back in Summerhost for the solstice?
You are very forward with this.
Well, you made a promise and are being vague with the answer, so I'm giving you at least 4 months to do what you need to do. Booking in one of our biggest holidays so that I can avoid everyone who comes to Summerhost and all the people of Halden to go for a coffee with you.
Fine, as long as I'm alive, I'll take you out on the solstice. At least gives me somewhere to go after this is done. After that, well, I've literally got nowhere else to go, so... I don't know. If you want to deal more with me, you're welcome to.
If I dealt more with you, would I have to deal more with them?
Is them referring to the wall, or is them referring to wherever the fuck Marcusar's gone?
I'm gonna have to deal with them anywhere. I live in Summerhost. They're my next door neighbours.
If it helps, they're not likely to be burning down your farms for much longer.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Oh, absolutely. It's just, I've seen it, quote unquote. So I've got that little bit more faith.
Then forgive me for not having any.
I'll try to show you it, I guess. Though, that comes in hand with the solstice.
And it was more referring to the wall.
No, when I'm there, I intend to have anything and everything attached to me waived. I studied law for about 3 years, so I have at least some grasp of what I need to say.
And what about when you come back?
They'll want me dead. So... they won't come to you, because I'm going to make it very clear that I'm going away, so they'll be coming for me.
You know, when you go out with someone, it usually comes as a package deal, so if I'm out with you and they show up, then...
You're really suggesting that you're going to be around me often.
Where else are you going to
You're
go in
not good at
Summerhost?
talking. You're not good at talking to people, are you, Eidolon?
I haven't been good at talking to people for about 1 year and 6 months, Wulfric. My social ability was killed, very literally, when I was killed.
Yeah.
So too, it would seem, would be his awareness and his perceptiveness in conversation.
Eidolon,
Yes.
you are aware that if you date someone, you're going to be around them a lot. Therefore, it's kind of a package. It's why you're a couple.
You see, I didn't realize that that's where that conversation was going, Wulfric.
It was kind of the implication with, you know, taking out words and phrasing it the way I did.
Yeah, there's inference. She's just not speaking directly.
Mostly because I also know that noise. And
You two being in the same room together is an absolutely awful combination that I never wish to see again after this day.
Well, because I'm just the most normal human being you've ever met.
Yes, because you're too normal sometimes, Wulfric. In a life where nothing has been normal for about 29 years. You are far too normal.
And then there's the shouting. Wasn't even me this time. Congratulations.
Well, once this is all over, you two are welcome at the restaurant anytime.
A trip to
Well-
Hodsall is probably good for my mental health.
Holstall's good for everyone's mental health.
Maybe it's a bit forward when your father's just there, but can I ask you for just a walk for a second?
She kind of looks over. Yeah, I think he'll allow it.
As I'd more just stand up. Wulfric, you're free to catch up with Marksar and Ranagash.
Alright, I'll go find those two idiots.
I'll only be a little bit.
Okay, have fun.
As Wulfric heads out of the tavern to go, or heads out of the inn to go to the tavern. And
Let's go.
Eidolon, you head outside with Emmy.
Yeah. It would more just be walking a little bit into the forest. I know these woods somewhat, so...
Taking the trails.
yeah, just a few basic trails. Are you just sticking with me until this is done?
And then I'll do the boys and the conga of everyone else coming to meet them.
I hope the flowers were nice. I don't have an eye for that sort of thing, but... well, the florist in Thornsguard had a good selection.
They were. I still have a few of them. I pressed them in the notebook.
Glad you're getting use out of that.
Well, I've had the time to, you know, use it, and the scenery here is quite stunning.
It's just a shame it's attached to something so venomous. I don't even mean a plague.
Are you talking about my notebook or the village?
You see, on occasion, you are certainly venomous. Up there, you are certainly venomous, but no. I mean the wall.
Why the change of heart?
I've seen what their negligence can do.
I mean, you came to Summerhost. You've seen what negligence does. Why did you assume
This-
yours was any different?
No, what happens in Summerhost is amendable. It's something that the people can maybe not stop, but it's something that the people can deal with. It's something you're faced with. And as much as that's not good and that's not right, it's something you know. What the wall was doing, the negligence they were imposing, was to people who didn't know. They were hurting people who didn't have the choice or even know that they could fight back.
Why are you telling me all this?
Because, and I mean no offense by this, you're a wonderful person to talk to, but it's a start. People need to know, and, well, I can't just start by walking straight up to the Dynast and telling them, because they'd think I'm insane. Ironic, considering they already do know, but it's a metaphor.
So, second question. Why couldn't you tell me this when your friend was here? He seems to know it all already, so why did you need to get me on my own?
I would have, but you asked how I was doing, and last time we spoke I was stressed, annoyed, cornered. That's all gone now. I'm not stressed because I have people who I know I can trust. I've never seen anyone better with a blade, magic, or healing. I don't feel cornered anymore for the exact same reason. At this point, I'm just scared. And I like to say that it's because I could die, but honestly, I don't care about that.
Wow.
I can die and the world doesn't change a single bit. But what I'm scared is for the people who are involved in this now. I'm scared for the 3 of those idiots. The friends and family they have. I'm scared for the friends I still do have on the wall, what's going to happen to them.
I'm so touched that going out for coffee with me means that much to you.
Feel flattered. I'm not shouting this time, which means you know I mean it.
I mean, I wasn't included in your list though, so does it really matter that much?
You know, things change when you let someone finish a sentence.
Yeah, but your sentences run on a lot.
Then maybe you just don't get to know if you were ever included on a list.
Well, if you were doing it at level of importance then.
Penchant for a last but not least system. That's all. It's just, I know that they'll know already how I feel because I've been traveling with them for about 6 months, but I feel at times they expect me to know what I'm doing. And I don't mind that, but
I mean, you're welcome to shout about how much you don't know what you're doing again.
shouting is a way to get out emotion. I don't mean it.
Yeah, but the last time you were in this position, you still didn't know what you were doing. You were just a lot more emotional about it.
I just won't. At this point, I've realized I should do the things that help me, not things that just ignore it. And a massive vent in the middle of a coffee shop is just ignoring something.
Well, I guess this is the point where I'd probably say something along the lines of, why don't you just forget about it, go away and start a new life, start something new.
As then more people get hurt.
Exactly. That's why I'm not going to say anything like that, and instead, well, I need to get moving with my father. You have to go and find 3 idiots.
Suppose I'll see you in the solstice then.
Make sure you don't forget.
The only way I'll forget, and this would be a lot more emotional if it also didn't have a high chance of happening, is if I'm dead.
Well, try not to die.
I
Because-
really expected you to say, just don't die, and I was going to hand you my sword and tell you to do it yourself.
Well, I was going to say that. I considered it. And then I was like, no, I will say try not to die. Because then I don't intend to follow you, so I can't really beat your corpse when you die.
Then I'll make a trade. If I get back to Summerhost, and if you make the horrible decision to spend any extended amount of time with me, I'll teach you how to beat the shit out of things that aren't corpses. And in return, I've always had a penchant for picking up painting.
Okay. But you do know that does just mean I get to spend more time with you. And you spend more time with me, right?
Hence, I'm making you aware that if you choose to take that horrible decision,
Then I'll take it.
this is me voicing the fact I would like to spend more time with you.
Yes, and I'll take it.
Alright, before I make any other awkward sentiments, I'm just going to...
Walk away.
Yeah, that's me done. And that's me done.
Walk away. As you start to walk away, and she kind of calls after you, she obviously turns to walk back to the entrance retreat. I'll see you in about 4 months.
Or a letter in my place. Not written by me.
I'll see you in 4 months.
Okay, I get it. As intentionally as I turn away, I'm going to let the scarf kick up a little bit.
Well, you don't have the hair to, like, swoosh.
As he turns away, Eidolon will do something specific that people will see when he comes into the tavern. Is he's going to lift up his scarf to just above his mouth.
Yeah.
Covers his cheeks.
Eidolon, you have such a way with women.
As for Eidolon, Wulfric, you guys will come into this scene obviously a little bit later, as right now you will be having your conversation with Amalia and her father. But for my other two, for Ranagash and Markasar, you guys are heading to a tavern.
Let's go.
Does
We're at
Ranagash
sloth,
drink?
lads.
Yeah.
He
guess.
would partake in alcohol. Maybe not today. But he does partake in the... I can't think of a funny name for alcohol.
Gotta keep his wits about him because he's travelling with Markasar.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if I drink alcohol. It's because I don't have money.
Is
on me.
alcohol vegan?
Yeah, you
Okay, there's a
can
good
you
one.
can get vegan alcohols. I know because I have to sell them.
Vegan alcohol.
Essentially,
Is
anything,
mead vegan? It's made from honey. Honey's made from bees. Yeah.
as
Honey's
lo-
not made from bees, it's made by bees.
Made
of
of bees.
So technically, mead isn't vegan because bees make it.
as long as the alcohol is not fermented using animal product or is fermented in Ing's glass, which is fish, I believe. It's vegan.
Well, this is the new Markasar anyway. He might have a pint.
Well, I'm not too sure if you'd be able to get a pint or a traditional tankard in this tavern, as the two of you walk in. And despite its more, I guess, elvish exterior, it's very traditionally like built into the tree side, using a lot of wood and logging, a lot of vines and greenery kind of encasing and creating the roofs. The interior is a lot more modern, perhaps something you'd expect to find in the Citadel. As the two of you head in, with its chairs dressed in almost a deep red fabric, and the rest of the walls and tables are also either dressed in red or black. The place is entirely almost silent, despite there being patrons. There's almost bubbles of conversations that are completely isolated to individual booths or tables. The whole place is dimly lit, though there are no sconces or torches. It's not lit by flame. Instead, almost a misty white light seems to envelop the whole tavern, giving you enough perspective to see things, but not enough to detect a light source. It's almost as if the aura is just lingering and creating a light rather than any magic or natural means. When you walk in, I guess the strangest thing about walking into a tavern is the fact that there's no bar. There is no bar top, there is no tabletop, there are no kegs, there are no taps. Instead, along one of the back walls, and kind of coming round and almost attaching itself to another booth, there are maybe 5 or 6 rows of glass shelves with bottles upon them, in various different shapes and sizes, containing various different liquids, various different fluids, and various different items, all seemingly in different colours, some of them being very vibrant and even producing their own hues of light, casting almost this kaleidoscopic colour against the back wall. You can't really seem to find, an owner that way, considering there's no bar, there is no barman. But as the two of you enter, it would appear that you have caught the attention of someone, perhaps an owner you're not too sure, as she seems to get up from a table of patrons. She looks elvish from her appearance, though is slightly shorter, perhaps only about 5 foot, 5'2", as she walks over, where the more she walks toward you, this mist that seems to linger in the tavern seems to grow a bit thicker, at least from your own perceptions, where rather than taking in the sense of a traditional tavern or even the sense of Thansari from outside, the two of you begin to smell something different, though it seems to be very individualistic for each of you. As for Ranagash, the interior of this tavern starts to smell like Maiar. It starts to smell like your home, like the campfire that your mother and father would cook at, and even scents of your mother's perfume seem to just linger in this building. Whereas for yourself, Markasar, it smells like Halden in the summer. Just as the flowers are starting to bloom, the insects and animals are starting to wake up from hibernation, and the forest is coming to life, not long likely before the solstice, where there is that warm scent in the air that just smells aromatic and pleasant. Where the woman kind of comes up to the two of you, obviously very short in comparison. And what can I do for the two of you?
Maybe have a drink?
Just for the two of you?
I mean, Ranagash, would you like one?
I'll take something light. Do we want to save seats for the other two?
I mean,
I suppose 2 for now.
2 for now, more for later.
We have 2 others who might join us later, yes.
I was more meaning in terms of drinks, but I can do more people too.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Whatever you have on.
She kind of comes down, leads you down into the tavern and towards a booth that does have some space for some few other people, for Wulfric and Eidolon joining you guys later. However, at least for the 2 of you being more magically inclined and Ranagash being more arcane inclined, rather than obviously getting up to pour you a pint or grabbing you a tankard, instead it is more a flick of the wrist that turns her hands almost into a conductor's pose, as she looks like she's almost orchestrating this mist, as from it 2 goblets appear. Very ornate glass goblets. And she then starts to, for yourself Ranagash, Mage Hand, a very arcane spell, several bottles from several of the shelves. Not even having asked you guys what you'd prefer to drink or what you'd like to drink, several bottles start coming over and sitting upon the table of these wondrous concoctions and liquids as she starts to pour and make you guys some drinks. It would appear that she puts the same measure of each thing in the glasses, making the drinks the exact same way. Though when they finally settle and she stirs them and uses 2 fingers to slide the brim of the glasses over to the 2 of you, you notice that the 2 drinks are completely different colours.
What is this?
You asked for a drink, and you asked for something lighter.
What colour is mine, sorry?
It's almost a kind of deep blue at the bottom that starts transitioning almost into a light purple.
This is no alcohol I'm familiar with.
Then clearly you've never been to a good establishment.
Take up the glass, sort of like swirl it around a little, give it a smell.
It smells almost like wild berries.
It's not going to be, it's just a drink, right?
You asked for a drink. I've given you a drink.
Side eyes, Ranagash, are you going to have yours?
They
Well,
drink at the same time.
He really doesn't trust this place, does he?
Oh well. I offered a cheers to Ranagash, maybe try and clink the chalices.
Yeah.
And take a very cautious sip.
Taking a drink, it tastes almost as sweet as it smells. It almost has that consistency of syrup, though it has a little bit of a fizz to it, possibly the reason in transition of colour. It essentially tastes like you're drinking sweet berries. Strawberries, blackberries, currants, with that almost slight hint of citrus. Whereas when you drink it, there is almost an alcohol-y aftertaste, but it's not a aftertaste you're familiar with, as it's almost sharper, almost burning, rather than mead where it's smoother or beer where it's hopsier. It's almost just a smooth burning after the buried flavour.
Well, that was rather unique.
Does Ranagash drink his?
What exactly is this?
Yeah,
These-
I'm not a coward.
Yours is like almost a vibrant red in colour, Ran. It's not like Marcus's is like two-tone, yours is just red. Drinking it, again you get a little bit of that berry, more I guess raspberry, almost like raspberry and red apple, where rather than a burning aftertaste you almost get like that cidery aftertaste, where you're not even too sure there is alcohol in it to begin with, until you get that little almost bitter tones at the back of your throat. As she kind of laughs and looks at Marcusar. It's something of my own concoction. You wanted a drink, so this is probably the first and last time you'll get a drink like that. I can never make it the same time twice.
You did. The establishment is called The Last Drink. What's your name, sorry?
That depends on who's asking.
I'm asking.
Yes, and that still depends on who you are.
I'm Father Marcusar Wild, the Green Hand of the Old Faith.
I've not gotten to do that in a long time.
As she kind of looks at you, gives you a smile, and looks at Ranagash. And you are?
Ranagash. The bastard.
As can you both give me a wisdom saving throw?
Oh no.
Oh, I know what this is.
Oh.
Okay, that's a number.
A good number?
I don't like saying the nature of the number beforehand. I don't want to jinx my roll.
I mean, you do have portents. You could nat 20 it. Or you could just nat
Doesn't
20 it
need it.
normally.
I don't need it. I don't need it.
Who needs a portent?
Who needs a portent when you can just roll a nat 20?
Mhm.
Okay, that's just awkward now.
How?
So I have a table for this, and it just is both convenient and awkward because I rolled a 5, and the option for 5 is just awkwardness. As for the two of you, you start to feel the mist getting thicker, almost obscuring your vision. You can start to feel it going hazy, and you can almost feel it start to make your head spin, if only for a moment, where the two of you, almost in an instant, blink just to try and clear it, and the mist fades, and it would appear the woman has disappeared as well, though there is still someone sitting with you. Just, I guess, someone that well, you're becoming increasingly more familiar with over this journey, as it would appear a young orcish woman is sat across the table from the two of you.
Bullying time.
Ram, is this not your friend?
Yes.
I don't believe I caught your name earlier, and I extend a hand out to her.
She kind of almost leans over, takes it. You can see that somehow in the interim she also has procured herself a drink. You're not quite sure how that occurred, but she has. My name is Grey.
Nice to meet you. Did you follow us all the way from Maiar?
Perhaps. Seemed like a good decision.
It's quite a long journey. What's the orientation of the seating? Am I in between Ranagash and Grey?
So it's kind of like, almost picture a circle booth where there is like a half a circle on one side and half a circle on the other. You and Ran are on one half circle seat and she's on the other.
But which one, like, if we were to scoot round the circle seat, who would be closer?
If you were to scoot round, you'd probably get closer to her. If Ran would scoot round his side, he'd get closer to her.
Well, I'm going to scoot round, but pushing Ranagash as we go, you know? It's like, apologize, it's very dark in here. Ran, scooch up, and I try and, like, push him round closer to Grey.
Does Ran move?
He knows exactly. He's too fed up to like argue. He's done with Marcus R's bullshit.
Who isn't? It took you 39 sessions?
No, but I'm just especially done.
To be fair, you had options of either your mother or Bartak as well on this table, Matthew, so...
Yeah.
Paul also had options on this table, I just didn't roll any of them.
I can't tell if this is better or worse than what I thought you were going to do with those things that you asked.
I know, you all got asked things.
Oh, okay.
Paul understands.
Now, it's all coming together now.
And she kind of looks and almost smiles, though kind of shifts away ever so slightly so you don't get quite as close. Well, I just wanted to see where your journey would take you, and, well, it seems like a nice enough place.
We didn't see you in here when we entered.
Well, I didn't see you either.
How long have you been in Thansari?
Perhaps only a few hours. I kind of just stopped at each location, and I kind of came in here thinking maybe, and then thought no, but I kind of lingered, and then you two showed up.
Can I insight this?
Yep. You can also insight Ran.
I'm not going to succeed, but I'm going to anyway.
You have an
Just-
at 20, Matthew.
It's in character.
In character.
I'm not. He's not in the place for a nat 20 right now.
15's not bad. Both of you, whilst obviously only taking an initial sip, the two of you haven't drank too much, nor was it that strong. Your head is still spinning and the scents are still confusing, but you kind of harken back to what Eidolon said as well. The
Mhm.
fact that you can sit down in this tavern and all of a sudden you're drinking with a friend, even though it's not.
I think more than friends in Ranagash's case, am I right?
Hey!
And whilst, at least for Ranagash, who obviously knows Grey a little bit better, a lot of her mannerisms have been copied, her voice has been copied, as well as her appearance, but at that, it is a copy.
Mhm.
There is, at least for Marcasar, logistically, there is no way that she could have travelled to Thansari, beaten you here, without the four of you seeing her. Yes, she is stealthy, but you guys have now been in
And
Thansari for a whole afternoon,
And she travelled 2 weeks by herself.
on her own, across the plains of Elerin,
Yeah, it's dangerous time. She wouldn't do that.
having never
Um,
left Mire before as well.
What is this trickery?
Trickery?
Wherever you are, she never even told me her name. What bloody bitch? No. Barkeep, wherever you are, what is this illusion?
As you watch as, I guess, the appearance of Grey fades. And can you both give me a perception check? Hey, you're
Oh,
not doing-
Matthew, where are all these good rolls when we need them?
What about for
I always roll good with the RP.
like initiative, combat, attack rolls? Like, what's with these numbers? Why can't these numbers appear more
Listen,
often?
rolling bad on initiative is part of my brand.
Your
He says
friend.
rolling. Actually, no, Grimm's got pretty bad initiative as well. As the two of you ran, you almost see it for a split second, Marcusar, you're able to see it for more, where the facade drops and you kind of double take Ran, where the figure almost appears to just go completely grayscale. Very little features, almost no mouth, no nose really, just the two almost serpentine nostrils, and completely white eyes with almost white hair that drapes over her face, where in that split second it then changes colour again to almost being a almost matted shaggy brown that starts to extend and go below her shoulders. Her face starts to turn dark, almost a deep tan. Her eyes get colour and turn a deep shade of blue, where she kind of just leans over the table and looks at you. Barkeep, isn't that just rude?
Well, you never gave me your name.
Well, that's usually because you drink with a friend when you come here.
We don't have too many of those.
You have more than you think, at least in terms of your thoughts. Well, maybe not you, but you certainly do. Gestures at Ranagash.
So what's the deal? We drink of this drink and people we know of appear?
No, you drink of the drink to enjoy the drink, and myself and my sister make you more comfortable here.
And who are you and your sister?
Well, I am Rosetta, not Barkeep. My sister is Shella, and he's over there somewhere. As she gestures at quite a almost brutish orcish man sitting in a corner drinking with two women.
Does the orcish man look like he's having fun?
Yeah, the two women also look like they're having fun.
Apologies for speaking out of turn, Rosetta. Perhaps you can help my friend and I. We're looking for... we already witnessed Eidolon run into Oscar, right?
You were all there for that.
Yeah. We are looking for two individuals called... Where to write them?
Marcus
Eleanor
Evans.
and Iris. Eleanor and Iris.
You have descriptions? Surnames?
No.
I can't really help you. Unless you know who they are and I can have a look.
I believe they are connected with the Watchman.
She kind of almost laughs very audibly, almost a nasal at the end, where she kind of coughs. Do you know how much Watchmen we get in here? That does not narrow it down.
Do I look like I come from these parts? I have no idea how often the Watchmen frequent your business.
Increasingly, depending on the Watchman. Anything more specific?
Afraid I don't have anything. If you don't have anything, we'll be on our way.
I guess it was more just a thought. Although in saying that, I can't often probe the memories of people who aren't here. That probably wouldn't have helped. I would have been able to change into someone else, but not really to see. Though if I could get an appearance of them, then I could tell you if they've been in here frequently. Or recently. Or both. But if you don't know what they look like and you don't know what their names are, then I can't have a look to see.
Turn back to Ranagash and perhaps we should find Eidolon. He might be able to help us here.
Did he not say he was coming here after he dealt with whatever it was he had to deal with?
I don't suppose he'll want to partake in these drinks.
You kind of watch as she kind of stops for a moment, puts her head on her hands, and almost starts looking at the ceiling as if she's thinking. Muttering under her breath, though marks are you're the only one with the past perception high enough to see that she seems to be repeating Eidolon's name, almost as if she's heard it before, but she can't quite put her finger on where.
What are you muttering?
Again, so rude. I should be in
Sorry.
right mind to charge you for that drink.
I only had a sip.
You still drank it, means I can't sell it again.
I mutter to Ranagash, I'm not very liquid right now.
I am muttering because I recognise that name. I just can't remember where.
He is also a watchman.
You kind of see as she almost smiles. Daedalus. Oh, yes.
Perhaps? What do you know?
I know that face. I don't know the man, I know that face.
Did you have a patron here who would drink with Eidolon?
Oh, there were several. He was quite a popular face for people who wanted to talk about stuff. I think he was their captain, so he was quite easy for them to talk to. There was one, though, who I think she just attended to actually drink with him. On occasion, she would even request him. It was strange.
And what was their name?
Chloe? No, that's not right. Kara? No, that's not right. She was blonde, I remember that. She was in here maybe 3 months ago. My sister usually sees her more. I've seen her once or twice. What was her name? I can't quite remember what her surname was, but I can remember that it means angel because she wouldn't shut up about it one night. Or at least I think that's what it meant. Or is that someone else? No, her name's gone. You'll have to ask my sister. Again, I've seen her once or twice. She tends to frequent my sister mostly because, as you can tell, I kinda got fed up with her showing up. She showed up maybe... Oh, when did she start showing up? Maybe nearly a decade ago? Apparently it was a really bad breakup.
Decade ago.
And then she kept frequenting every other week. To the point where she would come in and start requesting to drink with him. It was quite obsessive. And then it kind of pattered out for a little while and she only came in occasionally. It was strange. I stopped seeing her, but my sister... Literally, she walks through the door and I just get shallow. I can't be bothered with it anymore.
Can we speak with Shala?
I guess I could trade places for a little while. And she kind of gets up. And you watch as she kind of gets up and starts to walk over to the table. The mist still obviously spiraling, but as she does so, she kind of gestures for the orcish man to kind of come forward to get away from the table. The other two women seem quite oblivious to it, and as the two of them almost get up and pass places, the two of them switch appearances. As she comes over, or as she comes over and sits with you, though this time adopting a bit of a different voice. What can I do for you?
Shala.
Ah, yes. Here I was thinking you just wanted another drink.
Your sister speaks of... Quite fine, I haven't finished the first one. Your sister speaks of a woman who would come in here and request to see Eidolon Daedalus.
You watch as she's quite, outgoing, quite sassy. She kind of has this smile, almost sassy smile on her face. The moment you say that, her face just drops. Oh. you want to know about her.
A name would suffice.
Her name is Charlotte. She is a watchman of the first offence. I have it in my right mind that I really need to ban her from this establishment. You see, I don't really mind it, and neither does my sister mind it when people find out about our little trick. In fact, most people are actually more comfortable when they find out and suss out our little trick. Not once have we had a customer who comes in here and demands us to use our abilities to satisfy their own obsessions. The only
Why
reason...
would this person...
The only reason she's not been kicked out yet is because of the amount of money she spends here.
Do you know why she's obsessed with Eidolon?
They were apparently seeing each other for a little while, or at least that's how she puts it. The first other night she was here, it was like a lot of tears, a lot of tantrums. We usually try not to pry too deep, unless we need information on certain people. If, we can't quite get the emotional connections, we obviously don't want to transform into someone who you don't particularly like. So we have to pry for that. Occasionally. So, we had a look. She had very positive connections with him. Very infatuated connections with him. So, we thought it was a safe bet. And next thing I know, she is screaming at my sister. And I don't mean like shouting, I mean screaming. To the point that I actually had to put a bubble around them so that it wouldn't interfere with the rest of our patrons. Apparently, they had a night together that was apparently the best night of her life and could have been the best night of his life, that he was a rotten cheat who is now missing out the best chance of his life, having chosen that... Oh, what was it she used? Oh yes, village whore. And obviously we then thought, after that whole debacle that she would leave and not come back, and next thing we know, 2 months later she's back. And she actually requests to see him, where she sits and has drinks and is really cozy and clingy to my sister. And obviously Rosetta gets a little bit uncomfortable with the whole thing, so I deal with her from then on in, where, oh dear God, it's constant about the fact that he will, realize his mistake, that he will come back, that he will realize how he felt, that he will realize that it was the best night of his life and not that he had better. And oh, this woman.
She sounds like quite a customer.
That's a word for it.
Would you also know of two women, Eleanor and Iris?
Do you know full names?
I do not, sadly.
Have you met them?
I have not, sadly.
Then, sadly, no. We need either full names. Obviously, people tell us their names, so I know them from there. But a single name, a surname, or even a memory, if you have it, I can usually piece together from that. If you've not seen them or heard of them, then I can't really piece together much.
Well, then we should just wait for our friends to join us.
Oh, bright lights. Speaking of your friends, Wulfric, you head into the tavern. Yes. You're perhaps maybe 5-10 minutes before Eidolon comes in, though when you do so, you kind of come in and this mist, similar sight that you are presented with as you see Marcusar and Ranagash in a distant booth with quite a tanned woman kind of leaning over the table chatting to them. For you, when you walk in, the kind of mist hits your face, obviously the door swinging behind you, and it immediately smells like Sophia's flower shop and her perfume. As it is a very almost comforting smell of, well, what is soon to be your home.
Kind of pause for a second, look at Marcusar and Ranagash, kind of walk over to them and go, what the fuck is going on?
Whatever you do, don't drink whatever they give you.
I wasn't planning on doing that.
She kind of looks at Ranagash. Did Rosetta not explain it's not the drinks that do The drinks are just drinks.
He's not very bright.
That's
Oh,
fair.
it's just drinks. I'd take another swig of mine.
Wait, what does what?
She kind of gestures. A friend of yours, yes?
Indeed.
A pleasure. My name is Shala. My sister and I run this establishment where you can come and drink for the last time with a friend. We have shape-changing abilities.
Okay. Excellent business plan you've got here.
Well, for someone who isn't quite as skittish, it usually works charms.
I have therapy for this.
Well, most people who come here don't. We are their therapy.
Anyway, what's the conversation been about? What have I missed? Any relevant pieces of information I should know? About anyone about that? About Eidolon's boss that wants him dead?
Evelyn? Oh, the bulwark.
Yes.
I will be honest, I don't actually know what she looks like. There have been a couple of people who have come in here where they have had her at the forefront of their mind, but for some reason, every memory people have of her, it's almost like it's there, but it doesn't exist. You can sense it, you can read it. I don't know how versed you are in arcane. The ability to detect someone's thoughts. Peer into their minds, peer into who they are and who they know. It's how my sister and I can very effectively coerce people into giving us their money. Let's just put it bluntly. But when it comes to her, there's almost a barrier, a wall, a ward that prevents someone from looking further, even if you pry. You cannot see her, and you cannot get any information out of her. You just get a name. And for most of the watchmen who come in here, they refer to her as Bulwark, mostly because it's a public establishment, so they keep their respect. When they're talking amongst each other, though, they use her name, Azariah Craglin. Who we were actually talking about was your friends here were asking me about the wonderful Charlotte Angelos, who has been a patron here for about 10 years and will not leave us alone.
Who's that?
I assume some
An old
jilted...
flame of Eidolons.
Yes, I was about to say, a jilted lover of Eidolon. She constantly comes in, requests us to shift into his appearance, and spends enamoured nights drinking with us. As I said, she spends a lot of money here, but she really needs to just stop. Apparently they had a night that went a bit bad, and...
How
well...
long ago was this night?
The first time she frequented here was just over a decade ago, so I imagine in the interim.
Gekra.
It's just not something usually I can say to my patrons. It loses us money, you know?
How frequently does she come in?
I was saying to your friends, the last time she was here, perhaps nearly 3 months ago.
Interesting, so she hasn't been here despite her clear obsession.
Well, the watchmen take shifts. They only come to Thansari on occasion and, well, they rotate. Her last rotation was about 3 months ago. If I'm not mistaken, I'll expect her in about a week. That's if anything doesn't happen in the interim. Occasionally there's... Actually, no, I can't tell you that because that would actually get me into trouble. Apologies.
Okay. Thank you for that. Are we gonna wait for Eidolon to get here, and then where are we going from there?
Well, I asked about Eleanor and Iris, though they don't seem to know them because we cannot provide last names or descriptions. So I guess wait for Eidolon.
Right, we'll wait for Eidolon.
Though there's a chance they could not be here at all.
As Eidolon,
Hello, that's me.
it is you.
Quietly regretting that I let you write some of my plot points sometimes.
If only you walked an extra hour, Eidolon. None of this campaign would have happened.
why I regret letting you write some of my plot points, Em.
For context, Charlotte is the thing that started this entire campaign.
Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Nice.
As you come into the last drink, the boy's sitting in the corner with a kind of young woman. Wulfric kind of sitting perched awkwardly at the edge of the bar with no drink in front of him, but Marcusar occasionally awkwardly and nervously still taking some sips, not quite too sure if it has got magical properties or not. As when you come in, the mist almost seems confused, as at first you are almost certain that you smell home. You smell your house, with Ferreth's cooking not too far down as you've just come back from a long night's work. However, there is another scent that seems to start getting mixed in, as it is the scent of, well, rolling fields, a cowshed, and a almost lavender scented perfume.
Wow, you really got to represent inner turmoil.
Well, yeah, you have two happy scents. You don't have one, you still have the thought of your wife.
I know, but hence, representing inner turmoil.
Imagery, symbolism.
Physicality. Metaphors.
As you come in and see the three of them with this woman.
Yeah, I'd walk on over.
And she kind of, ceasing conversation with the three of them, kind of looks up at you, and the mist kind of almost thickens ever so slightly, swirls around her, as she starts to speak in her voice, though I'm not going to do it because it would genuinely kill my throat, even if I attempted it tonight. It starts to change into that of Eidolon's, as her appearance also shifts into that of Eidolon's. Now this is a face I can recognise. What brings you, of all people, here? Though, I can kind of assume based on what your friends are telling me.
Whether that's Sheila, Rosetta, whoever's there, I'd very much appreciate you stopped looking like that.
Look, where are we going after this?
Are you looking at me, yeah?
Yes.
Well, firstly, I don't know why we're here. This was Marcusar's idea.
I was asking for Eleanor and Iris.
Well, we can see about that in just a second, but after this it would probably just be best to sleep and be on the road in the morning.
Fair enough.
There's not much left for us here, unless you have any pertinent information. So I turn to myself, that's hopefully no longer myself.
Well, every one of them has asked me about Iris and Eleanor, and I have told them that I need either full names or a partial description, or the ability to peer into their heads to see who they are. Names don't really help. And then they were asking about Charlotte.
I turn to the table. You were asking about who?
We were told about a Charlotte Angelos.
Moving swiftly on from that detail. I have
like
absolutely no desire to hear what you know about her. Not directing that towards Marcus, or directing that towards me, I guess. Eleanor Muirheart.
And Iris.
Listen, if Iris has been in here, the words I have for her are not just harsh, but also very directed, as she should not be drinking. So I'm just asking about Eleanor.
You know we wander around town as well, and you know other watchmen come in here too. Might means I know a name not from her, but from someone else.
Yes, and in that case, anything that you'd be able to have on her would not exactly be helpful.
Let me try something and tell me if I'm close. As she kind of shifts again, Eidolon, your passive perception is high enough that you will be able to see her true form as she blinks. This very almost faceless creature. As she turns into, presumably, another watchman. At least for the three of you. A female watchman at that. Kind of more form-fitting armour, similar to that of Eidolon's, but very much in the colours and not as broken. You can see underneath she is still wearing almost her chain shirt, where Eidolon has obviously abandoned his just for his natural cloth one. You can kind of see this kind of almost mess of dirty blonde hair that trails down to her waist, that's kind of been kept and tied by a circlet braid that seems to have a few trinkets adorning it. primarily feathers that are in a similar colour to that of her armour, though almost looked like stained feathers, perhaps from a hawk or an eagle that she's then recoloured herself, with very, very soft green eyes. Anywhere close?
Yeah, that's about right.
Well, I've not taken it from her, but I took it from another fellow. Kind of tall, dark hair, elf, I think. At least looked very elvish. He
You
comes
say
in.
dark, do you mean black, or...?
Yes, very. Although in some lights I guess it has a little bit of blue to it, but that might just be
Oh,
my eye.
That's perfectly fine then. What do you know?
Not much. They came in, or at least he came in, perhaps on a scouting mission, I think he said it was. He was having a look at the western side of the Barrier Mountains, not too far from the gorge, and she was accompanying, that would have been maybe 5 months ago. They had some reports over there, which I will not mention, as to avoid any further problems.
You're lucky you don't have a head on a spike already up at the wall, so don't risk it.
Hence, I stop here, I know where my limits are. But they were heading there perhaps 5 months ago, taking the mountain trails back. They're likely probably already back, and I think prior to that he was not on leave, but she was granted a leave. The only reason I'm saying
know
this
what
is... no, I think it was a holiday of some kind. She was going down into the village to spend a couple of weeks there. Your friend, the dark-haired elf, was a little bit more... not concerned, that's not the right word. I guess curious, as I was drinking with him, because he was almost practicing so that when they got back he could ask her out for dinner.
Cute as that is, I can pull him up on that when I get back. The nicest way possible. Is that all you know?
Yes, your friend is probably still in the village, or at least in the process of either being there or heading back up to your barracks.
Plenty of time in that case. I offer thanks, although this experience was incredibly unpleasant.
Not like looking in a mirror.
I don't like looking at an illusion.
I mean, it's not. I am very real. My forms are very real.
And I'd request you stop there. You three are welcome to stay and drink if you wish, but this place isn't my taste.
I don't see any reason to stay.
Yeah. Wulfric will, as soon as Eidolon mentions leaving, Wulfric has headed to the door. He's on it.
See, Paul, this is what happens when you explore all the markers inputs on a map.
You run a lovely establishment here. I may never return. And then he leaves.
Yeah, I'd more just give a wave to Marksar and Ranagash if they're still sitting down and walk off towards the door.
I'm gonna join you. Finish my drink and then boost.
Marksar just downs the last little bit. And what about Ran? Is he boosting too?
He will also finish his drink, not as necessarily as quick as Marcus because he's not been as hesitant. And then he'll sort of turn to John and be like, how much for these two?
First one's always free.
Okay. Thank you. And then you turn and leave silently cursing the fact that you couldn't have Marcus or owe him a debt.
As the four of you head out back into the kind of central plaza where the fountain is kind of sparkling in this almost evening light that is piercing through the tree lines. Do you guys do anything with each other before retiring for the...
I would
Suppose
like
not.
to go to bed.
I agree with Wulfric.
It has been a long journey.
I would turn to Marksar and just say, I did recommend you not head in there.
This gives me the fucking creeps.
Leave no stone unturned, Eidolon.
And are you happy with what you found under the stone?
I mean, the drink was very, very sour. I will request some water when we get to the retreat. And a paracetamol.
Oh no, painkillers exist.
I mean, they've always existed. There's such things as opiates.
Drugs.
As you guys head in, obviously go in to rent your rooms. There is no one at the front desk getting into the evening. though Eidolon, this is not unfamiliar to you, as Mirai, the owner of the establishment, has a lot to take care of on herself, so usually leaves her check-in book on the reception desk where you sign in yourself and then you pay as you're leaving. Where, for a night's stay in this establishment, it is 3 gold pieces.
Yeah, I'm happy to pay that. I have money.
Which I think everyone bar Marcusar can afford.
Marcusar can't afford anything.
If you will, will you all spare me 1 gold each?
Before anyone can answer, if I pay this for you, will you stop asking questions about Grey for a while?
Give him a
I shake his hand.
Marcus,
For a while.
give him a fight. Give him a fixed amount of time. Otherwise, he will literally start asking tomorrow.
3 days.
Goes to shake hands.
You get
stops
3
and goes
days.
in. 3 days.
Okay.
3 days, 1 for each piece of
3
gold.
days.
Acceptable. And only then will he return.
Return the handshake.
Yes.
Don't you worry, Wulfric. I was literally just about to ask.
Marcus, Ranagash just like squeeze my hand just a little tighter.
Just staring
Just-
at you daggers.
Enough that you know it's deliberate, but not enough that it actually hurts.
Yeah.
Now, Paul, how are you going to work around this stipulation? How are you tomorrow going to ask the same thing whilst doing what he's asked?
I'm just going. Randy, no. You know, just.
Bully him, but
Tend
subtly.
to do it in your fucking sleep.
Marcusar miraculously starts sleep talking, but specifically about Ranagash and Grey.
That's all. That's all he needs to sleep talk about, though.
As,
Yeah.
at least for now, you guys get the effects of a long rest. You get to have a sleep in a comfortable bed for the first time in a long time since travelling from Cernreen, as these beds are plush, the rooms are lavish, and you pretty much have anything you could ask for at your beck and call this evening. As, at least for the 5
They
of
got
us,
a private gym.
I mean, they would technically not have a gym because those don't exist, but they would have a private training space that you could use because Mirai is used to frequenting watchmen. So
Real
Hell
life
yeah.
jungle gym.
Hell
Oh
yeah,
yes,
baby.
let's go get the gains.
Hell yeah.
Wulfric goes to get his gains in.
as for the 5 of us, we will take a short break and we will see you all
Wulfric's long rest.
in a little bit.
Congratulations on succeeding.
Well, stop ruining his evening, because I've cut back from the break screen and we're playing D&D now, Paul. And don't ruin...
August.
Okay.
Why, Ewan?
Sorry, what the look. Fucking...
Craig, close the internet browser. Close it.
Is this us coming back from break, I guess?
We're already back. Got it.
We've been back for like several minutes now.
About a minute and a
It's been a
half.
disaster.
Sponsored by
looking.
Vitamin D.
Paul.
Paul, fucking stop it!
I'm not looking.
Paul.
Oh, what that
Craig.
tongue do?
It is a harmless gif of Stitch from
Yes.
Lilo
I'm
and
not,
Stitch.
I'm not looking.
I defy you to tell me what's wrong with it.
The folks at home don't get to know what happened in our Discord chat previously to you putting the gif of Stitch licking the glass. So, put the gifs away, Craig. Stop commenting in the Discord chat. Put the internet away. We're playing D&D. Paul, I don't even have to click on it to know that was you.
You don't know what Matthew has in him.
No, but you can see both of my hands.
Getting the
And
word.
I know it's not Ewan, because Ewan just posted an appropriate GIF. Now the two of you behave. We're playing D&D. As coming back from the break, and a slightly longer break for the four of us as we recorded this one in 2 parts, like we have done a few other episodes, you'll probably notice that because of our costume change, and hopefully the Discord chat stops at some point. Boys.
Okay.
I'm
Yes,
not
miss.
looking. I refuse to look.
It's
So that
like
we-
when a teacher gives out like laptops in a class and says to focus on work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the difference in that is, if I did that, I couldn't see if you were doing this. I can see you doing this, and it's very distracting. Now stop it. As before the four of you are able to leave Thansari, there is still something you guys have to do, or at least something that Marcusar has to do.
He's been paid in drugs.
Don't sniff the fire salts. Bad idea. As kind of coming down the stairs, coming into the lodgings, where breakfast is provided. It is essentially full catered breakfasts, meats, breads, cheeses, fruit, veg, whatever you can think of, whatever you fancy, they are able to provide for you. Not too unexpected, considering it's elvish hospitality and they tend to go a little bit all out. But the four of you sit around the table, where probably waiting until Marcusar has eaten some breakfast. I don't imagine too
Marcusar-
much breakfast.
Is Marcusar trying something more unique this morning?
Is he gonna
I'm
have?
having the cheese again.
Trying cheese.
He's gonna have some porridge, but instead of making it with water, he makes it with milk.
Yeah.
It's
That's
adventurous.
a big
I
step up.
How do I react to that?
Constitution saving throw.
Constipation saving throw.
That's quite the ability score. Wonder what spells you can cast with that.
I have a +4 to constipation.
A +4 to const.
I'm not asking questions. I don't want to know.
Nope, neither do I, Matthew. As I guess, amounts of dairy that you have that morning, it settles a little bit easier than it did the first time you tried it. It doesn't taste as funny, nor does it upset your stomach as much, though you're kind of breaking down your intolerance to it. Though, I guess before you've completely been able to enjoy your breakfast, been able to finish your breakfast, Eidolon, already being up that morning and fed and watered himself, pulls you away from the table.
Do I?
Oh, you need to go and see Arius.
I know, but he can still have time to eat his breakfast. We're not in a rush.
I grab one berry off the top of my porridge and I get dragged off.
I'm not rushing him.
Fine. Marcusar can enjoy his breakfast then. As you do get to enjoy your breakfast then if Craig's not rushing. I thought Eidolon would be more in a hurry, but hey ho.
Why would we be more in a hurry? If he's going to die, he'll be dead already. No, but in serious terms, we're not in a rush to get out of here this morning, at least not too much. We need to conserve all of our energy, because it is still about half a day's travel. And we need to be in the right mindset by the time we get there, which means we need to have eaten properly. A big part of the mental state is how you get ready for it.
As breakfast finished then, Craig.
Thank you.
Marcus are able to eat his porridge in peace. The two of you leave the retreat, leaving Ranagash and Wulfric to finish up themselves, pack up the rest of their things, ready for the journey, as the two of you head back to Tuli's magic shop. Where, even as you go in and the little bell rings, the shop is empty. Though at least that's not unexpected, as Rias did say to you the night or the day prior that if you were to come in the morning, Tuli would have likely left already to go and look for herbs.
I would, in that case, take Marcus up with where I was taken before, but turn around and just... I don't know why, but... don't touch the banisters.
Fine. I suppose.
If you're looking at me for an explanation, I didn't have one. I just did what I was told by the person who owns this place.
I don't care to know.
Oh, here I thought Marcus's curiosity would get the better of him as he was walking up the stairs.
There's a reason, so I don't want to wish to find out. Get cursed by a banister.
You wouldn't get cursed, I can tell you that much. You just might
Oh,
get
then I
lost.
touched it anyway.
You might just get lost.
Don't get lost in a tree.
Not many places you could go in a tree though.
Up, down,
Left, right.
into the woods.
Back, forth.
We're going up.
As remembering the way you guys head up the tree, you head up the stairs and are careful not to touch the banisters, as, well, you do have to loop around several other staircases that are a bit more unfamiliar to you, Eidolon. It would seem a few of the staircases have maybe shifted in the night, meaning that it's not quite as easy to get to your destination this morning. But simple enough, considering you're not too sure how to change the staircases. You kind of just improvise on your way up as you get to their living quarters, where the two of them stay. Where
I'll give a knock before just walking in.
it seems a little bit more well lit this morning, at least a little bit more alive. The living room area smells of food, most likely from breakfast.
Well, that's a good sign.
As you kind of hear a voice calling from that area, as well as the scraping of, well, I guess spoon on ceramic. Yes, you can come in.
I'd open the door. I brought the person I mentioned.
Oh, yes, Eidolon, my boy. You're welcome. Both of you are welcome to come in.
Marxar. As I just gesture Marxar to go in first. This
Hello.
peace is what all true warriors strive for.
As Marcus you head in, Eidolon kind of directing you a little bit as you get to this living area where the gentleman that is kind of sat still almost at quite a low sitting table, kind of just finishing off the breakfast himself, though he's not really touched much of it as he slides the plate across the table, is a very old looking elf.
I must look like an absolute baby to him.
Yeah. Almost
The
very
baby.
pallid skin, with a slight almost blue tinge to it, like a low temperature, cold temperature. Grey hair that should be silver but is pure white, there's not the pigment to turn it silver. And very almost dark. Probably once brown, but now very black eyes. As he kind of just looks at you, hilariously almost in some surprise, is you are an elf and you are very young.
What seems to be ailing you, sir?
Well, if we knew, that would be helpful. We have been playing at guesses for a very long time.
What symptoms do you have?
I cannot seem to keep a temperature, even in Thansari, though it is getting into winter, so it's more cold. We have warm summers, and the heat no longer warms me. I suffer blood loss despite not having injury. and kind of gestures to the food on the table, as well as the pot that is still upon a embering fire. I find it difficult to eat. I have little appetite these days, and I have little inclination to drink.
What have you been taking already? Are you on any medication I should know about?
Any allergies?
Any allergies? Are you a
US
smoker,
medic?
sir? Are you a smoker?
Do you have dental?
They don't even have dental.
What insurance plan are you on?
What insurance plan? The basic. See, that's where my help runs out. I'm just a consultant. I can't prescribe anything.
However, if you pay this plan each and every month, 200 gold to the green hand.
Are you having regular sex, sir?
I don't think his wife is alive.
No, I'm
Nice.
fucking virgin.
Wait, he's got a daughter.
Got a daughter.
Yes. What treatments have you been taking thus far?
Mostly my daughter has been gathering wild herbs from the local woodland. They help mostly with the blood loss. They decrease the amounts and keep the blood pressure at least a little bit more constant. In terms of dealing with the temperature and my appetite, well, they don't do much to satiate it.
Based on the symptoms that he has told me, and just looking at his general condition, can I make any sort of educated guess as to what might be plaguing him?
You can give me a medicine check.
Oh, that's not what you like to see.
No, it's really not what you like to see, as...
Paul has tried to identify two natural things in the course of the campaign. At the very first session and right now, and both of them were nat ones.
yeah.
Were they actually?
Yeah.
Your very first roll was a nat one on identifying the branch that knocked the woman out in Tenon.
That's hilarious.
And now you're trying to identify an illness, and you're also rolled in that one. As no, Marcusar was never the, I guess, most skilled healer in the world. Whether you like to admit it or not, that was usually your sister's forte. You knew a little bit of healing, hence you could do basic healing magic, but actually in terms of identifying and treating certain illnesses, yeah, that's kind of where your wheelhouse stopped. If magic wasn't involved, your skills were kind of limited if it wasn't basic cuts, bruises, bumps and scrapes.
I have some knowledge of medicine, not proficiency, but would I be able to, just by listening to the symptoms, at least try and help Marcusar along?
You can give
Please.
you can give me a medicine, as you see him very confused in the corner.
I looked at Eidolon with.
Nice.
Can I be the monk?
Just swap character sheets, Paul.
Yeah, I'll send it to you through Discord.
Alright, give me 1 sec.
This feels very
So dumb.
this feels very familiar. I don't know why, I can't place it, but these roles seem very familiar.
I'm reminded of the perception check made near Summer Hut. Well, there you go, Em. My roll for listening to these symptoms and seeing Marcus are confused is a 25.
As Eidolon, you're not, I guess, a medicine man. You're not a healer. That wasn't really your expertise, but you have seen quite a lot of injuries and quite a lot of illnesses going around. The temperature thing, quite, I guess, common. That doesn't really tell you anything off the bat, but listening to the rest of his symptoms and actually being able to hear what he's experiencing, it seems more like a parasite. So you know that the magic shop gets imports from Aramba as well as the rest of the world. It trades in, obviously, potions, elixirs, magical items, natural herbs, ingredients. You've exported and imported several things from your father-in-law's shop to here, and from here to your father-in-law's shop. It is very possible that in a transport he has come into contact with something and it has infected him as a natural parasite. It doesn't seem to be magical in any nature. It's more the energy that he's got left. It's being taken by something inside of him.
Like a common real-world example, which probably isn't the case in this instance, is a creature like a tapeworm.
Yeah.
Just something like that.
Something that's probably in his stomach or in his intestine. Something that's nestled itself in its digestive system that is taking away his nutrients. Hence, he's not really eating because, well, it's kind of eating for him. It's probably quite big at this point. Hence, there's not a lot of space left for him to be able to eat. And
It's just unpleasant.
Yo, this man got a tapeworm.
Very literally. I thought I was making a joke there, but that's just what it is. Addressing the man, but also Marksar. You wouldn't happen to recognize anything from that, Marksar?
I'll look over my notes. It's the blood loss that worries me the most. The rest could be any number of ailments.
By the sounds of it, you've likely got a parasite of sorts. Nothing magical. Just something that's getting what you should be getting. You got anything to deal with that? As I turn towards the druid in the room.
I do have a herbalism kit.
Can you
Hello.
talk with animals on a fucking tapeworm?
Is an animal count? Is a tapeworm an animal?
yes, I think so.
Is a tapeworm an animal?
Hey, my dude,
Talk with
can you
the
know?
tapeworms.
Parasitic flatworms. Or flatworms are
Flatworms are
animals.
animals.
Yes. Yeah, you could talk with a tapeworm, Paul. Because
How are you gonna communicate though? Are you gonna like?
Open your mouth,
Walk
dude,
up
and I'm
to
gonna
it.
scream down there.
It doesn't say you have to be able to see it.
Matthew
And
looks up
spell.
the mechanical logistics of speaking
Yeah.
with a tapeworm.
There's a.
It doesn't mention it has to be a beast you can see.
if you were casting Speak with Animals, but you also had Message on your list, you could technically message the creature you're talking to, aka in this instance the tapeworm, and the tapeworm could telepathically communicate with you.
We are creating solutions for problems that nobody has.
Yes.
I'll let Marksar work this out.
Thing is, it's comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts. Does the
Mhm.
tapeworm actually have the ability to communicate back to me?
No, because it won't know any languages.
Exactly.
Well, no,
like
speak with Animals
No, no.
is considered you gaining the ability.
comprehend and verb. But like a tapeworm is very small. Will I even be able to fucking hear it
I mean, you
if
do
it's
have fire
inside this
salts.
fucking dude?
You
I
could
do have
dilute
fire-
your fire salts into like a more like.
Well, now we're getting onto my line of thinking. With my herbalism kit and my fire salts and things like that, could I make some sort of let's call it a laxative that could flush his system of any sort of I don't know, parasites or anything like any bad juju in his digestive tract.
Function in the same way as laxatives, it would only activate when it got down there, and if the tapeworm has it, then you're only burning the tapeworm.
So, two things, I guess, with it. One, yes, you can definitely do that. Two,
Mm-hmm.
would you use the fire salts?
Suppose I would.
It
Is
wouldn't.
this fire salt single use?
It wouldn't use all of them, because you don't need that much.
I forget what the fire salts actually do. I did write it down.
It's an incendiary poison that literally lights things on fire from the inside, so you'd have to do a lot of diluting there if you wanted to just turn it into a...
The spice.
the spice of
Suppose-
life.
Yeah. I guess that is a good way. Yeah, if I dilute it enough, it would be like fine for him, but bad for the tapeworm. Am I able to brew up such a
I would need,
concoction?
I would need a medicine check. Do you have proficiency in medicine?
I do not.
But you do have proficiency in herbalism, so you add your proficiency bonus anyway.
Let's go. 19.
That's actually pretty good.
I just looked up. The spell command would not work
Oh, tapeworm.
on a tapeworm.
We're trying to work out magical logistics of removing a tapeworm. As Marcusar, you clear a little bit of space on the countertop. You take out your herbalism kit as well as the jar of fire salts and a few other herbs, berries, things that will perhaps make it a bit taste a bit nicer going down, that you've collected on your journey just for your own grazing purposes. As you remove the cook pot from the embers and set upon, I guess, brewing almost a drink, another elixir that would perhaps be able to extinguish it. Being very careful about the amount of fire salts you put in, as the moment you take them from the jar, almost just scraping them ever so slightly with a few of the almost spoons that come with your herbalism kit, it starts to spark, starts to ignite. Even like the slightest contact just starts to set these things ablaze as you gently pour it into the concoction and watch it turn a vibrant, almost molten red as it starts to heat up, where you are able to cool it down and get it to almost like a thick, almost like chunky country veg soup style consistency.
Sounds pretty delicious.
Good soup.
No, we made soup. Now it's bad.
Where you reckon it should work. It's not going to be an instant heal because his body will still have to recover, but it should burn away the parasite, causing hopefully minimal damage to him. You've never worked with this material before, you've never worked with these components before, so you're not too sure if it won't cause damage on the way down, especially considering how explosive a spoonful of it was.
Yeah.
But at least in terms of removing the parasite, it should be enough to do that.
Drink this, sir. It should help. It might cause some discomfort, but it'll hopefully rid you of this parasite. While I'm here, I'm going to prescribe you a couple of weeks of steroids, and I expect you to make a return appointment in 2 weeks.
As he kind of takes it from you, it can be much more discomfort than I've had over the past few years. So if you think it will help, I am willing to try anything at this point.
We shall hopefully be back through here, and I will come to check up on you. But get some rest, try and eat if you can, and drink plenty of fluids. Advice not too dissimilar to ones we had to give to M, Craig, and Ewan in the last couple weeks.
What?
Aren't you feeling kind of ill right now?
No.
Well, it's mostly just he's got lethargy. He's just tired. Ewan and I were suffering from the cold. Technically, Matthew also has the cold. Paul's the only one who has not had the cold yet.
Well, don't jinx it.
Well, why do you
he's
think I'm
probably
saying
not
it?
going to catch it living in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Wait, you've been there now.
Paul's flat is lovely. Paul has a lovely flat. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere.
It's next to a prison. Oh no, I'm doxing myself.
You're literally giving them information to find you, Paul.
I didn't tell them which prison.
And he kind of gives you a nod, gives you a smile. Tentatively does set it down, he doesn't drink it immediately. There is some, I guess, hesitance in his eyes, though you can kind of understand he did just watch you play with fire salts and he knows what they do.
He sells them.
Yeah.
Thule does, at least.
As he kind of takes a breath, more turns to Eidolon, though it's kind of addressing the two of you. I thank you both.
Just hopefully it actually works and makes life a little bit easier.
Well, even if it doesn't, the two of you tried.
I'll pass on your sentiments to Almaris. I need to give him a visit before, well, whilst I'm there. I'll put it that way.
I was actually hoping that you would say that. With my regards, I was hoping you could pass on something else for me too.
Yeah, that's no bother.
I guess we can call it one last delivery.
No need to put it so morbidly, but I understand.
I was more meaning for yourself. I can't imagine you'll be a delivery boy for me much longer.
Who knows, I might do it from time to time. I'll have a lot of free time soon.
As he kind of pushes the chair out and quite weakly stands up, heads over to the more I guess, cabinets, bookshelf, shelves area that is in the living room. Kind of bends down, leans over, unlocks a locked portion of it, opens up the cabinet, and takes out a parcel that has been wrapped in brown paper, brown twine, and has a letter attached to the top of it. As he brings it back over to the table, I ask that you, if you can, if you give him this.
Magic supplies.
One could say so.
You know Vivian will have his head if she sees him with any of these.
Yes, but this is something he's been looking for quite some time.
Might mean you end up outliving him then, as I'll take it from him.
Quite possibly.
Then I'll pass on your luck to him also, for survival more than anything else.
Well, as long as you don't walk in giving her the parcel first, he should survive.
I might do. Think he'll be funnier that way. I wish you good health, Rias.
Be careful with it. Try not to shake it too much.
You really just had to make it sound dangerous.
It's not, as long as you don't shake it too much.
Then I'm blaming you if we get jumped by trolls on the way to Aramba.
Then if you do, I'd advise opening it.
Edmore just give a nod and gesture to Marcusar to be on our way out.
Bow to the man and make my way out.
As in the silence of the shop, as the two of you head downstairs and head back towards the entrance retreat to pick up Ranagash and Wulfric. Eidolon, your past perception is high enough. Marcusar, can you give me a perception check?
The number 28 is a nice one.
13.
You do not hear it. As Eidolon obviously taking the package, kind of walking down the stairs and obviously filing it away into your bag, making sure that it's not crushed and tentatively making sure you don't shake it too much. You almost feel something move inside of it, dismissing it as perhaps something rolling around, and then you almost swear you hear a very low, almost growl purr
From inside the back.
from inside the parcel.
Motherfucking displacer beast.
It's a bit too small for that. It's about maybe that by like that.
As I'm putting it into the bag, I'm gonna make sure that it's got plenty of room in the bag around it. Like, this is okay, especially since I'm getting it to somewhere. I'm just gonna make sure that it's caused as little discomfort as possible if it's a living fucking thing. It's like when you're transporting a snake and it needs to go in like a proper box, but you just need to make sure you don't like turn the box and the snake's fine.
Yeah, you gotta keep it at the correct orientation, not spin it too much, make sure it's at the right temperature.
Yeah, I'll like, originally Eidolon might have been turning it to like place it vertically in the bag, heard that, and instead make space to put it in like horizontally the way I got it. There might be a little bulge in the bag now, but...
Just shiggled some stuff around to make sure that it doesn't get damaged. As the two of you leave the shop and head back to the entrance retreat, where I guess the only oddity for Ranagash and Wulfric is that Eidolon's bag looks a little bit bigger now.
I'm not going to draw attention to it. It's just something in a bag.
It's just the only thing that will have changed them is now you look like you've got a bit more of a hefty bag.
I mean, he did just go to a magic shop, so... No, nothing suspicious here.
Nothing suspicious here for Mr. Ranagash.
Well, he's also got a past perception of 9, so you know.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be in order. Move along.
As the four of you are back together. Four of you are one group. What do the four of you do, if anything, or do you hit the road, so to speak?
No, unless there's anything you guys want to do. I think it's about time just to be on the road.
I have one thing I need to do.
Gasp, what is that, Ranagash?
Yes, Matthew?
I need to reroll my portents, because we had a long rest. I just thought I'd take the opportunity since I had the floor.
I think M was excited for RP, Matthew.
I
No.
was, yeah, and then he disappoints me by rerolling his portents instead. Sadness. I need to also move them around because they're not in their boxes anymore. The text is all whack because they're shifting.
Are you okay? Oh, you were looking at the portents. My
I
bad.
was looking at my portent boxes up here.
He knows where his portents are. He's worked it out.
Mhm.
It won't be long before
He knows-
a fourth box goes up there as well.
Knows the position of the portents.
Oh shit! Yeah, Matthew will have 4 portents.
Because he gets 1 extra from Sinmaya. Sinmaya's is a 13 for today as well, Ran. Don't know
Excellent.
if you'll need it for later, but we will wait and see, as that's them positioned correctly now. They're in their boxes again. It's just whenever it goes from like a single digit to a double digit, it ends up running out of its box.
Wild water.
Yeah, that's the name of Marcusar's concoction. It's now Wild's Wild Water, which is...
Trademark, copyright.
I feel like calling it water is like
It's just spicy
Wrong.
water, Matthew. It's just spicy water.
It's just spicy water. It needed a W. It's WWW.
I'm gonna look at liquids
I've got-
beginning with W.
Whiskey, wine.
Vodka.
Wild's Wild Whiskey.
Whiskey does make better sense.
It's also whiskey tends to
Is
be hot, or you can have it.
Isn't fire whiskey already a thing in D&D?
Firebrand whiskey, yeah. I think.
Wild,
I think it's
wild wine.
Firebrand. It's either Firebrand
not-
whiskey or it's Firebrand ale. I can't remember which one.
Hmm.
Or I could be completely
I don't
wrong
know.
on both those guesses. It could be like beer or something like that. As with portent
If I
rolled,
If I make a website, it'd be www.www.co.uk.
I can't believe I paused for that joke.
Marcusar would go to Eidolon and is like, so who have we found so far? Of the 3 that you wish to find?
Just Oscar. The other 2 will be back at the wall. Well, if we're unlucky, one might be in the village.
In Aramba.
Yeah.
How would that be unlucky?
No, as in, if they're both on the wall, that's unlucky.
Ah, okay.
No matter what, though, we'll have to make our way up there, and village or not, we'll have to head up to the barracks, so it's not going to be easy no matter if we have 1 or 2 people to find.
How far are we from Aramba?
Half a day if we don't get interrupted, and we keep up good pace. Though realistically, we might be there by early evening, late afternoon.
Well, it's still morning. Let's make haste.
And you'll find that, unlike most places, it's awake a lot later than most places.
Aramba, the city that never sleeps.
They mine.
Truly is the New York of Elrond.
Oh, that would be nice. No, those who live in the village, mainly miners. So,
We're the adults!
M made the exact same fucking joke, and I'm not humoring it twice.
Thank you, you've been great.
Yes, please leave.
unfortunately he's here all week.
Ranagash, I'm sorry I can't say for certain where your mother will be, though.
It's as long as we're on that course.
We will be. She'll be in there, 100%.
Alright.
That's everything in the tavern that Madelon would want to say, though.
He returns to silence.
Well, he's mulling over what he wants to say to Wulfric on the road.
Tries
So
to
gives
find,
me time to word it in my head.
tries to find a good way to put it.
It's me time to think it.
As the 4 of you kind of pack up, make sure you've got everything. Eidolon very careful about this new package in his bag. As the 4 of you leave the tavern, or the inn, and get back on the road through Thansari, though as you are leaving the tavern, at least for Eidolon, kind of scooching up, heading out the door, and almost being stopped in the doorway by a voice very much directly at him, as coming from behind, almost maybe a few steps up the steps, you just hear quite a projected booming voice. You, wait there before you leave. I want a word with you.
Do I recognize this voice?
A little bit. You've only heard it once, and it was yesterday.
Ah, alright. Okay, that's fine. I guess I'd just give a nod to the 3 of them, shrug shoulders, and just back up against the wall. I'm just gonna wait.
As he kind of comes down the stairs.
A very large farmer.
Yes, very, very large farmer. So, I have two things I need to say to you. One, thank you. Emmy told me what you did with those boys, and it would appear I have misjudged.
I was
Secondly,
expecting a lot less positive of a second mention.
no. Secondly, what are your intentions with Amalia?
That is a very strange question to ask someone you've only ever met once.
Yes, someone who has apparently spent a lot of time with my daughter behind my back, and upon said meeting yesterday, you disappeared with her alone.
Listen, if you're asking about specific interactions with a specific person, wouldn't your questions be better poised to that specific person?
Yes, and I have already asked her, so I want to know what your answer is to see if they line up.
Ah. Are the three of them able to hear this from outside?
I mean, he's not the quietest guy in the world, so if they're still on the porch outside... Marks are definitely with an 18 passive, and Wulfric's not too shy with a 14. Rand's probably looking at some birds.
Friends in his happy state. Birds.
He's in his mind palace.
Be quiet, I need to go into my mind palace.
There's nothing in Ranagash's mind palace.
No.
It's birds and fire. It's happy places.
Just the spinning Polish cow.
You can spin a cow in your head.
Ranagash's mind palace is that scene from SpongeBob where Patrick thinks about something and it's just like milk being spilled.
There you go, Matthew. There's Ranagash's head for you.
He's just standing waiting.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I can't exactly say I expected this, so Eidolon, all as well as me, is caught off guard. I went for a walk with her for an answer to your second question there. I wished to elaborate on things I'd mentioned before. She was happy to listen, and I was very thankful for that. In terms of intentions, I don't exactly know what you mean, but yes, I intend to spend more time with her if I'm alive to do so.
He kind of looks slightly concerned at the end phrasing of the sentence. Though, given your garb, you kind of see him nod as he's probably come to the realization of, yeah, you're not a farmer, so...
Shocking. Death is an occupational hazard.
Yeah. As he kind of looks at you, puts a hand on your shoulder. He is maybe a few inches taller than you.
Jesus Christ. I'm 6'3". How tall is this man?
He's getting there.
6'5" if the math counts. A couple inches more than 6'3". 6'5".
Thank you, Paul.
Absolute unit.
Very large farmer man. As he kind of nods, smiles, almost lets out quite a bellowing laugh. Well, that checks out then. You understand, I am a cautious man when it comes to men around my daughters. Especially Amalia.
Need I ask why? To my knowledge, she's old enough to make her own caution.
Yes, but let's just say she doesn't always attract the right type of attention. I wanted to make sure you were the right type of attention.
That is a very strange compliment to give someone.
Then, looking at you, this will probably end up as an empty threat. But if you do spend more time with her, and if you do hurt her, then you better hope that you can run pretty fast. Though, by the looks of you, I'm assuming you can.
I would say don't worry, because it's not exactly much effort to catch up to a corpse. If I need to put that in plainer terms, would rather kill myself than hurt someone who doesn't deserve it.
He kind of almost laughs again, to the point that, Ranagesh, you would be able to hear this laugh outside. With your 9 passive perception, this man just almost doubles over. As he kind of slaps you on the back Eidolon, kind of very Wulfric style, almost sending you, like, knocking you, stumbling off your feet. And he kind of goes, I will be honest, I thought you were referring to Amalia killing you. You definitely picked one of my more volatile daughters, but...
By the fact she broke one of my men's arm without much effort, I also wouldn't put that past realistic.
My other two got my wife's beauty and grace. Amalia, she got all of my genes.
Don't take this as an insult, but I don't think all of them. Have a nice day, sir.
He kind of like scoffs, almost laughs, takes a few steps back, kind of giving you that little bit of more space. Obviously, you were heading out to the door, so he gives you your space to do that. And to you too. Wherever you may be going.
You shouldn't be interrupted again if you're heading your way back to Summerhost.
Amalia said we were planning on leaving after breakfast. She is still getting up.
Well, good luck with that. Not my problem.
It might be, as he kind of gives you almost a salute and turns heel to head over to the bar or the reception for breakfast.
I just got a mocking soldier salute. I'm gonna head out the door. Sorry for that. We can be off now.
Who was that?
I'm surprised you didn't recognize them, Marcusar.
I forget.
Simply thought it would be one of the farmers you were used to harassing.
That was 2 Marcusars ago.
With 2 Marcusars? It's all the same to me. All Marcusars look the same.
You can give me a history check, Marcusar.
Yeah.
See if you would recognize him with those comments and with his appearance.
14.
Yeah. So kind of, I guess, kind of coughing, trying to perhaps think of him. You then have that awkwardness of, yeah, you do recognize him. That was Arthur Gracie, owner of the Gracie Farms and Farmsteads. One of the biggest cattle farms in Summerhost, and one of the farms that you have had broken into, broken fences, freed cattle, destroyed their barns, destroyed their grazing.
It's all coming back to me now.
I
Probably
forgot
best.
that he was an eco-terrorist for a bit of this campaign.
I know! Imagine, I've grown so much as a character that I've forgotten that I was an eco-terrorist. You think that stuff would stick with you?
You say that, like, ironically, but Marcusar really has grown as a character since then, so I
Yeah.
gotta give you props for that. You've done well with that.
My gravestone will read, Father, Friend, Former Eco-Terrorist.
As yes, that was Arthur Gracie, and likely the woman that perhaps he was referring to, one of his daughters. Well, you even heard her name was Amalia Gracie, his middle child, who is also not very fond of you.
I mean, they won't recognize me, but probably best we leave. Now! Kind of ushering people out of Thansari. Look, there's a bigger tree over there. Let's go.
You do realize you're gonna have to start making amends with people sometime, Marcusar.
We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
I
Are
don't
you-
think that's how that phrase goes.
Are you really hoping that you'll be dead before then, Marcusar?
There's a big tree, go!
Fine, we'll follow after the Marcusar dog.
As he quickly ushers you out of Thansari down the road and tries to avoid contact with as many people as possible on the way out, in hopings of not bumping into the Gracies.
Marcusar is suddenly embarrassed for everything he did in his life.
He suddenly feels remorse knowing that what he did was
Ah,
actually
fuck, it's the
kind of wrong.
consequence of my actions, fuck!
It's about the consequence.
Wrong session.
That's gonna really date this episode now.
That was creepy.
Fuck was that noise?
It was Ewan. I don't know what it was from Ewan, but it was Ewan.
Don't do it again.
Remind me next time. Remind me that if I ever DM a horror game for you, that's the noise my monsters are gonna make.
I think it's the fact that I didn't, like, you just had your, like, you were kind of leaning over, so it was just the top of your head as well, though. It's like, I can't see you making it, so it's just this weird noise coming from your mic.
The scariest noises are just breathing.
Depends on the, like, breathing, though.
Breathing is the context for a lot of scary things, like people, like things that should be breathing that aren't, and things that are breathing that shouldn't.
WD-40 and duct tape?
What the fuck are you talking
I know
about?
what he's referencing. It's the
It's,
does it move? Should it move? thing,
WD-40.
the flowchart.
If it is moving and it shouldn't, duct tape.
Yeah.
Jesse, what the fuck are you talking about?
That one.
There we are. There we go.
The engineering flowchart. The four of you leave the borders of Thansari, start to make your way towards the village of Aramba, where even now as you begin to walk, still, well, by Eidolon's estimate, about half a day's journey, you can start to see the mountain peaks above the treetops, and while still obscured, you start to see the blue slated roofs, most likely of the wall rather than of the village itself, as it is built high into the peaks, the size of which, well, none of you have really seen before, well, bar Eidolon growing up here. These slates, the way these roofs are shaped, and even the size, looking at them from here, panels are rivaling the size of towns, as whatever you are walking into is definitely going to be quite large. Maybe not the town itself, but the wall is definitely going to be something to behold. Though, for today and for tonight, you guys aren't going to be getting to the village, as rounding off our session, rounding off the last bit of the journey through Thansari before you start to get to the, well, I guess, meat of the story as you pass over the wall and head into Olvania, is Eidolon.
I have words, and I wish to speak them.
You do have words, and you do wish to speak them.
I was about to say, is Ewan there? And then Ewan's head immediately moved back into frame.
You summoned me, mortal.
As they're walking, Eidolon would stop for just a second, so he more falls in line with where Wulfric's walking. Can I have a word, Wulfric?
Yes, you can have more than one.
I appreciate that. Listen, before I continue, I just want to say that it is completely right for you to be angry at the Bulwark, and whatever you say to her, she will deserve for what happened.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that's understood.
Yes.
But I also need you to understand that just first and foremost, this is difficult, as this is a person who has been, in essence, my boss for my entire life. I guess in terms of a sense of scale, she's been doing this for about 200 years, and this is the only fault that's ever slipped through the cracks. That doesn't make the fault any smaller. It does not excuse the fault. I simply wanted to imbue a sense of scale, the fact that, well, if she hadn't done everything that she's done so far, you wouldn't be alive to be angry at her.
Understood. It's interesting to know it's not incompetence, but senility.
Incorrect. It's because it's not her area.
She's still gonna get a piece of my fucking mind.
Of course, I'm not saying she shouldn't. In fact, I'm fully behind you with whatever you want to say to her. Please don't misunderstand that. If you'd like...
Bureaucracy is difficult.
As much as it is her fault, especially because she was the one who put someone in charge of the defense who is clearly not warranted, fault can also fall to a woman named Nulrir.
Nulrir.
She's the one in charge of the first defense, the one who did what happened to Kinreen, and technically should be the one in charge of defending the plains if anything should seep out.
She one of his lackeys?
Technically, yes, she was under Gairdre's command.
Fucking of course.
And also, to my knowledge, is one of the only people who on the wall doesn't blame Gairdre for what happened.
Okay, so, So it's her fault. It's the Bulwark's fault as well, but it's also her fault.
The fault obviously falls to the Bulwark for A, not addressing this, and B, not employing someone who could deal with it. Anger is correctly vented towards her, but the person who should have handled this before it got bad was Nulrir. Azariah doesn't leave the wall.
Makes sense makes sense that she doesn't leave the wall much if you've gone 200 years without a change in management.
Partly so, but partly if she steps off the wall, the Blight will be able to get through.
Is she like magically bound to it or something?
She could leave, but A good way to put it is that where she goes, the Blight really can't.
So she's like an antibody.
In a way, though it goes true for quite a lot of fields of magic.
Have you considered taking blood samples?
We could certainly try, but the fact she can be injured by it herself doesn't exactly go a long way to show the usefulness.
Okay, I just presumed that maybe she had an innate immunity.
No, a noticeable scar goes a long way to show that's not the case. She's simply... I don't know it, I'm not magical, and I'm not inclined in that way. But it's an immense force that comes off of her.
So it's more like it's scared of her.
Most things are.
Sounds intimidating. I look forward to talking to her.
She's only intimidating if she's not on your side, and in the lucky sense here, as much as it won't seem that way, I hope she is on our side. The only thing she wants is the Blight gone from the world, and that's what we want.
I hope she's on our side, but she will have to understand that I am beyond angry at her.
She needs to answer for what happened. Again, I more wanted to give context and understanding. I in no way want to null or void any anger you have. It's justified, warranted.
Context is greatly appreciated.
Just so you know who we're going to talk to.
Absolutely. Let's get along there.
I give a nod. Idlomore gives a slightly relieved sigh.
And breathe.
Very literally.
As Eidolon gets to take a break, take a breath. But that is not the only conversation that happens on the road. As someone's lazy house cat starts waking up.
Excuse me?
Not your lazy house cat. Someone else's lazy house cat stares at Ranagash.
Oh, Matthew's lazy house cat.
Oh no.
As
Oh no. Oh no.
it would seem, since the Citadel, Samaya hasn't really spoken to you or initiated conversation with you. You have always seemed to initiate conversation with him. Despite him having some agency of himself, he's never really been that bothered in having a conversation with you. Though something seems to have woken the housebook from his slumber.
Just say it.
Just say what? It's almost like you're expecting me to say like something specific, Matthew. See, now you've caught me off guard. I was going to want to say, but now it's like the pressure. What if it's not what you're expecting? It's like this build up for nothing.
He just opens the book and it just says D's. He turns the page and it just says nuts, and then the book closes.
Got him.
And like the rest of the pages, if you flip through it fast, it just goes, Gotti!
As in the back of your mind, almost an echo. We're getting to somewhere I remember.
Oh, thank fuck. It's better. Okay.
What did you think he was going to say, Matthew?
No, I'm not disclosing it now.
Disclose!
Because it will be used against me.
Oh no, don't worry, he's not forgotten about that either. This has just got his interest first.
Alright. Alright.
Well, I can't see. That's usually the implication of you telling me where we're going. Yes.
Well, we are... How far out are we at this point from the walls?
You're probably around about midday by the time he starts talking to you, and Eidolon said
Right.
you'd be there early evening, maybe late
So
evening
we're-
at least.
Okay. We're heading towards the walls of Aramba.
Oh, Ilvania. I remember my brother calling it that at some point. I was never there to see Aramba. Well, I saw the wall, I saw the palace, but I was never there to see Aramba. That makes sense to why I feel familiar ground, though.
Right.
I didn't think my journey with you would lead me here.
Where did you think it would lead?
Mostly out of the library.
Is this not out of the library?
Well, it is, but it's now gotten a lot more interesting because it means I'm close to my sister.
Is that a good thing?
Well, it depends who you listen to, either me or Barrow. Because I
do
would
recall
say...
him saying it was a bad thing.
No, I would say it's a very good thing. Yes, he would say it was a bad thing. So it seems we're at odds. But I assume my brother told you not to let our delightful sister know that you're carrying me, yes?
Yes.
And presumably, considering you know Barrow can hear me too, you're already under the impression that she'll be able to hear me too, yes?
That would make sense.
So there's nothing stopping me just screaming in your head whilst we're on the wall. Because at some point, if you're near her, she'll hear me screaming. But I'll make you an offer.
Alright.
I will not ask you the other thing I was going to ask you.
And in exchange?
We part ways on the wall and you give me back to Azariah.
What would you benefit from that?
My sister has incredibly powerful magic. She is one of the only people probably left on this world with magical capabilities you won't even read about. I have been a book for nearly 3 centuries. She is the one person, other than my brother, on this planet who can make me not a book. I would very much not like to be a book.
Weren't you turned into a book so that you couldn't destroy yourself with extremely powerful divination magic?
Correction, my brother put me in the book because he was scared of my divination magic.
Scared of it destroying you?
If I die, I die. I have been a book for so long, Ranagash. I never got to choose whether I wanted to live. I never got to choose whether I wanted to die. My brother put me in a book and put me on a shelf. The most interesting thing that has happened to me in 300 years is that orcish woman up the tree that you fell off of.
We're not speaking of that ever again.
Well, I will, and I will continue, unless you agree.
Am I really being held hostage by a book here?
Well, that's up to you, really.
It really isn't. Because either I do this willingly, or you telepathically scream.
Yes.
We'll see. You are useful, but I imagine 300 G's a book can't be fun.
If I become a person again and not a book, then maybe I can help you. If I'm still a book, and my sister can't do anything, then I'm just going to go back onto a shelf, so I might as well travel with you anyway.
Alright.
So, the only thing you're losing is me screaming and talking about that girl you don't want me to talk about anymore.
I'll concede you have a point. We'll see.
I'm not hearing a yes or a no.
I can certainly talk to the bulwark.
Azariah.
I'm going to stick with the bulwark. From what I've heard, titles are kind of a thing around here. She's not my sister.
Yes, but she's not as big and intimidating as your friend likes to think.
He's the one who's lived here most of his life. I'll take his word for it.
No, I wasn't meaning him, I was meaning the other one.
Which other one?
The big, tall, muscular one with the axe.
Right, okay. He does have a name, you know.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny to describe him instead.
Alright. Is that all?
Well, since you didn't say yes or no, do you
I said I'll talk to her.
Yeah, but you didn't agree or disagree, so... Who's the girl?
She needs to agree as well. To turn you not into a book.
I mean, she didn't want me to be in a book in the first place, and you're avoiding my question.
I am avoiding your question.
But you're
Very
still
astute.
answering to me, so you're not, ignoring me.
I can change that if you'd like.
Well, I mean, I could just repeat the question over and over and over again, and see what happens.
Cast silence on the book.
It's... I have a feeling I don't have that spell. Because I'm not used to dealing with a 3-year-old screaming in my brain. I do not have silence, as it turns out. And I don't really want to set him set him aflame. Does silence even work on telepathic communication? It would not, because it only says no sound.
Just cast silence internally.
Eternally.
You could just choose to unattune from the magical item for a time being.
That is true.
I could, but I do enjoy having a third one of these. Even though I barely use these, but it's nice to have them.
Always handy in a pinch.
Yeah.
When he occasionally uses them.
Mm-hmm.
As he is petty enough to ask the question over and over and over again in your head.
Hold on, let me... Let's see, this is willpower, so let's go with... Right, that's a number.
Important it. You just mentioned them.
Okay. That's a neutral one. It's neutral. Let's have another one. I'm not porting to this because this is funny story. No rolls. There we go. Okay, he's holding out for now. No giving in to the
Peer pressure.
tyrannical 3-year-old of a book.
As for the next 2 hours of the journey, this continues.
Okay.
As you kind of almost walk in silence, Eidolon hanging back, having a conversation with Wulfric, where, he doesn't really seem to be stopping anytime soon. As would Ran start to look a little distracted?
Not necessarily distracted, but very... Like, the look on his face of that is that of a dad trying to take his kids to Disneyland while they're constantly going, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? It's very much that vibe.
For 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Can you not be yourself? For 5 minutes!
Exactly the
I
vibe.
commissioned the meme.
Okay.
As Marcusar, with your passive
I'm
perception.
admiring all these giant fucking trees.
Obviously avoiding a lot of the conversation, Eidolon and Wulfric seem to have kind of fallen behind at this point. You've been travelling for a while, probably breaking for sort of lunch, going into something to eat for dinner before not too long. It's up to you if you would actually engage or ask him what's wrong, but Ranagash seems very fed up and distracted.
Ranagash, is everything okay?
Would you... I'm fine.
Doesn't seem fine.
He's not fine.
What's on your mind, pal?
Maybe
Lend
you
a
should
kind word to your old friend Marcusar.
Maybe you should talk to him about the girl.
Like, imagine it's the kind of thing that without context looks very much like it's directed at Marcusar, but he just sort of closes his eyes, just furrows and burrows, and just like, 5 minutes. Please.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Sorry I asked.
No, it's... He's waiting on... Sinmai says nothing, I assume, because he's a...
See, now you just look rude.
He's of a similar ilk to Ranagash. Which is a polite way of saying he's a bastard.
Yeah.
So, anything you want to talk about, Ran, or...
This fucking book will not shut up. 2 hours.
Does sound like hell. What is he saying?
He wishes to meet the Bulwark, his sister, who will make him not a book anymore. And despite me saying I shall talk to to her. That is not a straight enough answer for his liking.
It never occurred to me that this book was previously a person.
I believe it was mentioned before, though I do. That was a while ago. Are you still under the belief that I'm losing it? That I have voices in my head? I do have voices in my head, but not that kind of voice in my head.
I can't remember what session Cinemaya turned up.
Very long ago, it was.
Jesus.
It was one of your first sessions in Westcross, so that is like
Yeah.
episode 13, 14.
I literally, no word of a lie, was on the page, and the one line I read was, "We arrive in Westcross." I am just that fucking intuitive. And what would happen if your book were to be made human again? If they are human? Who knows?
Possibly he tears himself apart with. Divination.
I mean,
He does kind of seem like he wants to die, though.
can you hear me?
He can hear them, can he? He's
Yeah,
not deaf.
They just can't
He's just-
hear him.
Take it from me, book. I've died twice. It's not all it's cracked up to be.
300 years. As a book.
Well, I'm 30, so
You also can't hear him. This is just a Ranagash.
that's sorry.
He has been a book for 300 years, as he likes to remind me.
I mean, I guess any sentient being has the right to choose their own fate.
Yes. Again, I will have to address the bulwark on the matter. But again, he does not like that answer. Because he is of a similar ilk to myself. Gonna use that on character this time.
Well, I don't know I don't know your book very well. We haven't spoken much. So, I'm not I don't think I'm a good authority to weigh in on this crisis that you're suffering from. Just as long as you're good. And if the book gets too much, you can talk to me.
I'm afraid it can't. Prophetic abilities, remember.
Yes.
As if he'd be interesting to talk to anyway.
That does not get a response. There is no way I say anything in response to that that does not go badly for the book.
If you need me, I'll be over there admiring the trees.
Alright.
As you boys come to break for your meal, break for dinner, break for lunch, sit down, relax, stop walking for perhaps a little bit before making that last leg of the journey to Aramba. Before we get to see the village and get to look upon the walls. With some revelations on the bulwark and some revelations for Samaya. We'll see where that goes, Ranagash. Or maybe he'll just start screaming. One or the other.
It's a possibility.
We'll see how petty he's feeling. For tonight, we will end our session there, as moving any further would take us into the bulk, into the big city, and start your journey over the wall and your confrontations with the bulwark, which will hopefully come next time. As for now, it is goodbye from me, and as always, it is goodbye from my boys.
Toodles.